Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 24. Celebrity Truth Tellers or Gatekeepers? What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the Jared and James channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know, that must mean you're not subscribed to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video, follow me on every platform. So for today's episode, if you guys didn't already know, we're going to be talking about the whole Ryan Garcia situation and whether or not he's actually one of these truth tellers or whether he's just this controlled opposition guy who's just going to lead us astray. And we're also going to be touching on some of these other celebrities who've been seemingly revealing some truths, whether it be Cat Williams, Andrew Tate, and we're going to be diving into whether or not these guys are for real or whether they're just full of it. So for those of you who didn't already know, Ryan Garcia this week, the famous YouTube / TikTok / social media boxer, I guess you'd call him, who has millions of followers, came out recently with a rather disturbing video talking about some things that he's been witnessing and some things that he was forced to watch by the Illuminati and by the people in power. And I also think he mentioned this idea of being possessed by demons. He brought up how he's a believer in Jesus and God has him, and if he gets off, you'll know why, basically. Now look, I'm not going to sit here and say that some of the things that he mentioned don't actually happen, and I'm not going to say that he didn't reveal any truth, but here's my concern when it comes to any of these big time celebrities who have millions of followers, and then as soon as one of these videos comes out, it gets millions of views right away and actually gets promoted by the algorithm as opposed to being shadow banned or hidden. Most of the time, I see it all as this giant charade that's designed to get you waiting for this guy to reveal some more serious hard truths, to bring out some names. But more than likely, it's just a promotion for his next fight, or to get you seeing this guy as a truth teller, with giving us some soft, light truth that most of us already know about. But for any of my fellow deep truth seekers, Rabbit Hole Roundupers, what did we see this guy was doing during his famous video? He was holding up a pyramid, which many of the Freemasons, secret societies, are often going to do. Also, as Larry Johnson pointed out, the day that this happened was 3/6, which 3 6s, enough said. So they were going to be pulling out all the stops on that day. Also, he also figured out some numerology and gematria, which he often does, because I would almost call him a Freemason hunter or something like that. I mean, having said that, as I've spoken about in the past, I don't like to only use hand gestures or numerology as my only argument, but when it's supported by other pieces of evidence, then I see it as complementary evidence. So, Ryan Garcia Diaz adds up to 33 in Chaldean, and Larry Johnson believes that this is just a way to sell tickets, and now it's conspiracy theorists being used as the new promotional propaganda. And something else that was also interesting that Larry Johnson also acknowledged was that whenever one of these celebrities speaks about Jesus or God,
and I pray that the Heavenly Father is listening to us right now. He know what you're going to do before you do it, knew what you was going to do before you did it, and he'll know what you'll do when you leave here.
A lot of people in the truth-seeking world immediately jump on board and support this guy, no matter whether or not this person has any dark past or whether or not this person is actually a gatekeeper masquerading around as a truth teller, which is why it's so important to always be thinking for ourselves, to not be jumping on board with any new psyops, to question everything, question everyone's intentions. And could it be the exact same thing when it comes to someone like Andrew Tate, who I think is most definitely being used by the CIA, even though he acts as if like he's being watched all the time and he was put in prison and all that stuff. But I think he's being used as this way of making men think that it's strong to be treating women like garbage, like trash.
My ex-wife, built like a sack of laundry.
And to be a jerk to others and to live in this materialistic world where all you do is just focus on how much money you have, how many things you could attain. But it's like, no, treating women poorly and only seeing this world from a materialistic point of view doesn't make you more manly, it just makes you a jerk. And once again, does he often give some truth? Of course he does. But it's going to be surrounded by a ton of garbage. They're always going to lure you in with some light truth, and then once you're on board, then they're going to be used to promote their agenda. And who was Ryan Garcia talking to on this phone call when it came to exposing this truth? Andrew Tate. So I don't trust either of them. And the last celebrity whom I'm going to address in this conversation, who's been making the rounds all over social media, is Cat Williams. Now, once again, he's been saying some very interesting stuff. He seems to be revealing some interesting spiritual truths. And once again, as I showed during the Rabbit Hole Roundup, talking about Cat Williams breaking the internet, Larry Johnson, once again, may have exposed Cat Williams as a possible Freemason, part of these secret societies, who's going to be once again revealing some soft truth, but like is never actually going to be this full-on truth teller. The elites are now using him and some of the other people as its way of leading the truth seekers astray. Because, as Larry Johnson indicated, the compass that Cat Williams was wearing during the Shannon Sharp interview was eerily similar to this Freemason compass. Now, what I see going on is I see the celebrities are trying to funnel people back into watching them because the past few years, the social media celebrities have essentially taken over and the truth speakers have become the new celebrities. So, the elites, in order to take back control, have to infiltrate social media. I mean, think about it. Like, how many people are actually watching so many of the former celebrities on TV anymore? I mean, how many people actually watch any of these award shows or any of these Met Galas or whatever you want to call them? The numbers have drastically dropped. So, in an effort to get people's attention back on them, they have to reveal some soft truths, but then surround it with garbage in order to get back to promoting these agendas. And one thing I want to clarify is that I don't think it's impossible for a celebrity to be a truth teller. I mean, if we're going off the concept of duality, even in Hollywood, knowing that there's all this darkness and all these bad people in there, on the opposite side of things, there has to be some good people in there too. So I don't want to demonize success. I don't want to demonize every single celebrity and say that none of them could possibly ever be a truth teller. I'm not saying that it's impossible to be successful as a truth guy. I know that I'm going to be successful, and I know that I already have had success in making an impact on the world. But for all these celebrities, it just seems to be way too easy.
That's just too easy. No. That shit is too easy.
I mean, when the social media platforms are actually promoting their stuff to 40 million views, 50 million views, and they clearly aren't trying to hide what they're saying, and I know from my own experience that whenever I post something controversial, it gets extremely shadow banned, it doesn't get shown to any non-followers, the engagement is totally throttled, so this makes me suspicious of any of these celebrity truth tellers.
You don't find that suspicious?
Who suddenly have millions of followers and who grow overnight and who are seemingly everywhere all at once, all over the news, and they're being promoted when they're supposed to be speaking about this controversial stuff. As Sam Tripoli often says, when he sees one of these people who's now being promoted everywhere all at once, and who's making the rounds, and who's getting millions and millions of views, he stands in Krav Maga stance as a way of being suspicious. I mean, once again, it doesn't mean that anything that's being said isn't true, and it doesn't mean that no celebrity out there can be someone who breaks away from that cult and who can be a truth speaker, but we do have to be suspicious of who we're following and whether or not there's actually an agenda to promote these people, rather than to hide them, as we've seen on social media for the past several years. Next up, the next topic I want to discuss is, this past week we had another Facebook and Instagram outage, which they attributed to solar flares or hackers or any of the things that I can assure you it definitely was not. I see this one of many ways. One, it could be this way of preparing us for the potential climate lockdowns, with how they're claiming that the sun is giving off solar flares and this is affecting our electricity. Trust me guys, the people at Facebook and Instagram are in full control of everything that's going on. When it comes to their platforms, they were not surprised by this. Could this also be a potential way of preparing us for the Internet 2.0 if they ever decide to shut off the Internet and then start up again? I don't think so, because I don't think that the most powerful tool for the old guard for spreading information would ever be removed and then started up again. I think that would actually be more dangerous on their part. I think more likely solution for them, if I were to put myself in their evil shoes, would be to infiltrate social media, put out all this bad information, send out celebrities to reveal some soft truths, and then to lead the people astray, and to regain their confidence back in their agenda. Or on the other hand, could this just be a way of seeing our reaction, seeing how addicted we are to these platforms, and seeing whether or not we'd become outraged, or whether we just move on to the next platform? There's definitely some interesting experiments that have been going on, whether it be seeing how we're going to react to every wildfire, or seeing how we'll react to a certain city reinstituting mask mandates. It's all about gauging where the public is at right now and seeing what they're going to do as their next move. But once again, as I always say, I don't want to be overly focused on their next move or on predicting what the evil people are thinking. I mean, it's definitely important to be aware of it all and to be able to laugh at it and to understand the purpose behind it all, because I believe that beneath that purpose, what you realize is how powerful we actually are and how they're just trying to hide that from us. So I take it in a different way from some of the doom and gloom people. But anyways, I do find it to be some interesting timing. Once again, 2024, an election year, it's going to be a crazy one. So all the stops are going to be pulled out. Nothing is going to surprise me at this point. Next up, another topic I want to address, which is actually a more personal one, is that this past week I got some of the nicest comments and some of the most hateful comments towards me. But I want to give a special shout out to one of my YouTube followers, Zaki, I think his name is. He's actually been one of my longtime followers on this channel, and he is so respectful. It just shows like it's actually possible to disagree with someone's viewpoints, but still respect them as a person and still like a lot of other points about them and still find some common ground. This past week, this guy wrote to me, sum it up, he loves what I'm doing, he doesn't always agree with what I'm saying, and as a result, he wants to know if I would ever consider having someone on the Rabbit Hole Roundup or one of my Hard Truths episodes who could represent his viewpoint as a skeptic. And the way he said it was so respectful, and it gives me hope that it's possible to have disagreements with people but still like them and still find some common ground. Not everything has to be this war. It doesn't have to always be, you're my enemy if you say one thing that I don't agree with. So anyways, shout out to you. I appreciate all of your support. And as I said in my response, if I could find the right type of person, someone who's a skeptic but like still an open mind to the hard truth / conspiracy truth / whatever you want to call them, / my viewpoints and my beliefs on these subjects, I would be open to having that conversation. Although I don't want this to turn into a full-on debate show because I don't want to spread any negative vibes, especially because sometimes debates can get very angry. But I'm just here to speak on what I believe to be the truth. I'm here to present all the information that I find pertinent, and you guys are free to do what you want with it. You're free to disagree with me. I don't want to force any of my beliefs onto anyone. I'm all for live and let live, as long as you're a good person and as long as you don't force your beliefs onto me and as long as you're not harming anyone. Now, having said that, some of the other comments I got this past week, some people's demons were definitely irritated by my light, whether it was the topic of terrain theory or a flat earth. I seem to be bringing out some of the worst in people, which is so odd, especially because I'm such a positive person and everything I do is always going to be done with the best of intentions and to help people. But the truth isn't always popular, but doesn't mean I shouldn't be speaking it, because you can't please everyone, and if you try to please everyone, you're gonna end up pleasing no one, especially yourself. I had people this week cursing me out, saying, F you, you're the biggest effing moron I've ever spoken to. This is 8th grade math, or this is I am 6th grader could prove you effing wrong. I mean, I don't curse, but like, some of these comments were so nasty and were so like hate-filled and angry.
Fuck you, you stupid cunt, monkey, licking, fuck that.
And saying how I can't even argue with you because you're just that effing dumb. But then, oftentimes what ends up happening, which is what happened in some of these comments, as soon as I offer evidence and proof of what I'm saying, or on the other hand, sometimes these people just get like so angry with me that like they can't even take it anymore. They actually most time end up deleting their own comments. So sorry to disappoint you guys, sorry to disappoint everyone who disagrees with me, but I'm not stopping.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
You guys could hate me all you want, you guys could leave as many nasty comments as you want, but I've been through much worse in my life. I could handle anything, so I'm not stopping. Hey, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, trying to help people, trying to spread truth, love, positivity, and bring more of my light into the world. Also, something else, like speaking of the comments that I also found very interesting, I was curious, did AI technically pass the Turing test? This idea of the Turing test, which I actually first heard about in the movie Ex Machina, but like this is actually a well-known test, is this idea that if a human can be talking to a robot or an AI and not realize that they're talking to a robot or an AI, then the Turing test is passed. So this made me wonder, when it comes to so many of these comments that I get on social media, or that are all over social media, as was revealed by the Twitter files, a lot of these comments are actually just bot farms, yet we respond to them anyways. So could this be a possible Turing test that's being offered to us to see how many of us actually realize that we're responding to bots? Could be. Interesting thought. Next up, a funny TikTok I saw this past week was saying that our oceans are only 10% mapped out according to NOAA. But yeah, we've totally been to space. I find that hilarious because it's true. Guys, we've never been to the moon, we've never been to Mars, we've never been to any of these places where NASA claims to be searching for. Space as we know it is mostly fake. Not saying the stars and the real stars, aka the planets, possibly even fallen angels, and the sun and the moon are fake, because those things are almost definitely real and God created them. But like this idea of other galaxies and trillions of light years away is nonsense. And hey, once again, you're free to disagree with me, but if you believe that we've only mapped out 10% of the Earth's oceans, 10%, then how could we possibly be exploring life on Mars, which is just Devon Island in Canada? And the final topic for this week's Rabbit Hole Roundup, even though this topic is actually a few weeks old by now, but I never get a chance to address this, and this may even require a full video in the future, a full hard truths video, deep dive into the whole music industry. But Ice Cube, the rapper, recently admitted that gangster rap was actually a CIA psyop that was used to sow division, and it ultimately led to more black people going to prison for drugs and for more violent offenses. I mean, as Sam Tripoli often talks about, both Dr. Dre and Ice Cube weren't actually these gangsters. They were actually basically the Clarences from 8 Mile. They actually had very nice upbringings.
This guy's a gangster? His real name is Clarence. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage.
Yet they were used by our intelligence agency to promote a certain agenda because, unfortunately, that's oftentimes what our government likes to do. Create the problems or get people to act out the problems for them, and then they end up acting as the solution. And also, this is also part of the whole spiritual war, because when you lead people down these low vibrational paths, when you have them listening to music that, once again, not saying the music itself is bad, but when the lyrics are very dark, satanic, and that promote violence, what do you think is going to happen to a lot of people? They're going to subconsciously be acting out these things without even realizing where the inspiration to do these things is coming from. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Rabbit Hole Roundup. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on any of the topics I discussed, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace!